The festive season would not be the festive season if this dish was not considered a side dish on our menu. So today's dish I'd like to dedicate to my grandfather and to my granny, who basically always made stuffing, and my granny still continues to make it this year. And so I've been inspired by a little bit about what my grandfather did with his stuffing and a little bit about what my granny does with her stuffing. And so I basically took both of their ideas and made it into my own. So I started off with a knob of butter, and I decided to go in with some onions and with some green chili. Of course, every family makes their stuffing differently, and based on your flavors that you would like to achieve with the type of meat you are going to be serving your stuffing with, that could all differ. You could add in nuts, you could add in fruit. Mine's a little bit more on the traditional approach. I also went in with some dried herbs. Reason being is because this does have a bit more of an intense flavor. So I like to add lots and lots of flavors to my stuffing because there is a different amount of meat that goes into it. If you're going to be using this as a stuffing for meats, it would be different. So you want to be able to load lots and lots of flavor. I also went in with some liver. Now, this is definitely something that could be traditional in most homes. We make our stuffing with liver, and so you can either whiz this up in a blender for a couple seconds, or you could do what I did and you can chop it up and add it to your onion. So we're going to give this a fry for some time until it starts to brown a little. I also went in with some sausage meat, and so I'll tell you the trick here with some sausage meat. You basically want to take out the case, you want to take out the meat from the casing. And so if you had to make this stuffing to stuff in a bird, or in your lamb, then basically what I would do is I would make my stuffing with everything apart from the sausage, and I would basically add the sausage raw and use that as a binding agent and then stuff the meat. Now in this case, because it is a side dish, I want to actually cook the sausage off, and basically I added some dried herbs and I also added some fresh herbs. So to this I added in some thyme, I added in some coriander, and at the latter stage you will see that I've also decided to add in some sage because I really do love sage with my stuffing. Don't forget to season your stuffing as you're going along, depending on the type of meat that you're using. It could be a little bit saltier than usual, but go ahead and taste. So I've added in some salt and some coarse black pepper. And then the other ingredient that I decided to add in was some breadcrumbs. Now you could add this breadcrumbs in at this point, or you could also add the breadcrumbs in at the end and give your stuffing a nice bake so that it's nice and crispy. But I just like a one-hit wonder stuffing, so I just added that in, and then I also added in some soft bread, so bread that's been moistened with some milk. So I just soaked the bread, one slice, this was stuffing for two, in some milk, and basically just took it out, squeezed out the milk, and basically added it into the stuffing. And so once that's nice and incorporated, you're going to need some sort of binding agent. And so I decided to go in with some mashed potatoes. So I just added in one mashed potato that was not seasoned. And so I've added that in. And what you're going to start to see is all these beautiful ingredients start to come together. And this is what's going to really hold your stuffing together. And so this particular stuffing, like I said, is a dedication to my grandfather and to my granny. My grandfather used to make this every single year. He made two types of stuffing. He made stuffing that was used to stuff an actual bird, and he made stuffing that was a side dish. I also went in with some stock, so I added in some lamb stock to that as well. And so you're just going to give that a nice mix, and you'll see it starts to actually go away from the pan, and that's when you know your stuffing's actually ready. Lastly, you want to make sure that you are giving it a nice season. I went in a little bit with some butter, simple butter, to make sure that it has a nice fry, some salt, and you can also add in some more pepper. Just taste as you're going along. And yeah, that's it. My granny makes it a little bit more differently as well. She doesn't really add in sausage meat. She just keeps it traditional with the liver and with the bread and with the mashed potatoes. And yeah, here you have a beautiful side stuffing dish. From mine to yours, Merry Christmas.